I can still throw. Get my notes out. Wow, this has been a long time coming, and I'm very grateful. Thank you guys. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the committee for voting me in. Thank you to the great Blue Jay fans. Always have a place in my heart. Thank you. Thank you to Pat Gillis for believing in me. Thank you. For me, it all started when I was in the upper deck at Comiskey Park. And I told my buddies, one day I'm going to be playing right out there. I was 13 years old. And lo and behold, my first game was right out there, same spot. And that's kind of weird, but that's the way it fanned out. My boys were talking one night at dinner, and they said, "Dad, how'd you get discovered?" And I told them the story about facing a young flamethrower by the name of Bill Gullickson. He played for Joliet Catholic. I was in Joliet Central. Can we lower this a little bit? Thank you. Thank you so much. No worries. Thanks, man. And I played summer ball with Gully, so I wasn't intimidated by him at all. In fact, I played center field behind him, so I knew how he pitched. And game started, throws me a fastball away, hit it to right. Fast forward the clock, or fast forward the game, I should say. We're in the last inning, score tied. Rob Cotto leads off with a double. Our third base coach, Jerry Pius, calls timeout. I walked down to third base. He said, "You're not bunting in the game." I said, "Yes, sir." So knowing Gully in that situation, I know he's not going to go fastball away again. And I've never seen him throw a breaking ball, at least in high school, to start a hitter off because you couldn't catch up to his fastball. And I said, he's coming fastball in. I'm going to step straight instead of stepping in like I always did. I was a diver. So I stepped straight, pulled my hands in, and there it went. And I said, that ball might have a chance. And it hit the fence. It went through the fence. I know y'all laughing. That's a true story. And it put a hole in the fence, very top. And in fact, years later, when I told Josh and Jeremy and Jessica that story, they kind of looked at me like, I don't know about that. The older you get, the bigger the fish, right? So I told Marla that night, I don't think the kids believe me. She said, "Don't worry, I'm not worried about it. That's exactly what happened." So after Josh, of course, he played Major League Ball as well. And when he retired, he was a heck of a ball player. One of his first jobs, he was one of the advanced scouts in the big leagues for Arizona Diamondbacks. And he said, "Dad, I know you want to see Mike Trout play. I'm going to advance Houston and California, the Angels, and for interleague." And so we go to the cafeteria, and they got great food in the baseball cafeteria up top. So I said, "Of course I'm going there with you." So we're sitting there, we have our trays, and I'm walking back, and I see this gentleman walking up to me. He looks familiar. And it was longtime scout Gordon Lakey. And he greeted us and said, "Josh, man, you're doing a great job in the scouting department. You're an asset to the scouts. Keep up the great work." He said, "Thank you, sir." He said, "I got a story to tell you, Josh." He said, "I was at that game. And your dad faced Bill Gullickson and yada, yada, yada. And he hit the ball through the fence. He hit a laser through the left center field fence, and it put a hole in our picket fence and went through it." And we figured right then and there, if he can turn on Bill Gullickson's fastball, and he can catch up to Major League pitching, we're going to take a chance on him. And so the story is true. That's funny, later on when I was in the Florida State League, which I struggled bad, hit a whopping 206 with a couple of homers, and I think I was batting 170 and got that up to 206 at the end. Thank God for that. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, maybe I should have gone to college. Florida State League is no joke. This is tough. The heat, I'm skinny. I never touched a weight. And I started lifting weights. One of the Dennis Mickey, our great manager in Florida State League, said, hey man, go home, lift weights, and build your body up. So I did. I took heed to that. And the next season, I started driving the ball. The slug came. I started hitting some doubles and triples, a few homers, and before you know it, a couple years later, I get a September call-up. So thank you for all those guys that believed in me. And you know, Pat, I'm never gonna forget all the encouragement you gave me. I got a great Pat story for you. Drive of '85, and I'm in a little bit of a funk. And Pat never came in the clubhouse. You know, he wasn't like George Steinbrenner or anybody like that. Pat very seldom stuck his head in there. So this particular day, he comes in and we're all getting ready, and it got quiet. It's Pat Gillick. He starts walking towards me. I'm like, ooh, am I going that bad? So Pat comes up to me, and he walks up, he puts his hand on my shoulder, he goes, hey, empty mind, full bat. Full mind, empty bat. Stop thinking so much and go out there and trust your ability. Go get him, kid. And he walked away, yes. Thank you, Pat. Yeah. When he walked away, I'm like, oh my God, I needed butt wipes. I was so scared. I was so scared. Wow. But I took heed to his advice. I went on to finish up strong in '85. And, we won our first division title. And that team was incredible. I got a couple of notes I want to tell you about some of these guys. Wow. The first one I want to thank is Big John Mayberry. What a great teammate and mentor. I remember that first game at Kaminsky Park. I get there, and I was in AA, and they called me in the office, and Skipper wants to talk to you. So I walk in his office. I said, what's up, Skip? He said, you going to the show. I thought he was joking. I said, seriously? He said, yeah, you deserve it. You're gonna be playing right field tomorrow for the Blue Jays. I said, wow, he is serious. I said, where are they? He said, they're in Arlington. I said, yeah, my mom could drive up from Houston. No. They're finishing up a series in Arlington. You're gonna meet them. They're gonna meet you in Chicago. You're starting in right field at Kaminsky Park tomorrow night. I'm like, no way. Mm-hmm. So I get there and I walk in the clubhouse, and they got back late. Got in late, so they didn't have a chance to sew my number 29 on, so they stapled it on. I didn't care. I was glad to have that uniform. I love that powder blue. Wow. I love that powder blue. And so, longtime scout Epi Guerrero was there, and Epi came up to me, and he had something behind his back, and he congratulated me. He said, Jesse, the only difference between the minor league and the big league, we got to go to ice cream in the clubhouse. I said, Epi, man, I can't eat that. That'll give me gas for the game. But thank you, I'll eat it later for sure. So the game starts. You know, I did all my interviews with all the local media. I'm from Joliet, so, and all the people were there, and I did my interviews, the game started, and my first at bat, I hit a ball in the hole. And I'm like, man, I could run a little bit back then. I hit a ball in the hole, and I'm like, oh, that's a hit. First at bat. I think it was Greg Allman. He picked it, threw across the diamond, got me by an eyelash. So I'm like, wow. So I get back and put my helmet down real soft. You don't throw your helmet. And I said to Lloyd Mosby, I said, shake, man. Wow, that was a hit in AA a couple nights ago. Big John Mayberry looked at me, he goes, yeah, young blood, this ain't no AA. we make that play up here every night. I said, yes sir. So my next at bat, I said, you know what? I'm not hitting it. I'm going to hit this ball to right field. So I closed up a little bit, went the other way, and I drove in George, and I stole second. Someone drove me in. I went on to hit safely in my first 8 games to start my career. I'm like, wow. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And a couple of days later, I hit my first home run, and Big John was teasing me not too long ago. He said, Bakefield. He gave me the nickname Bakefield because Lloyd Shaker, and we're always together, shake and bake better than fry. So Big John, he goes, Bakefield, you remember you hit your first home run in Chicago, and your people were jumping. They were so excited, they were jumping up like Jack in the Boxes. All over the place. I said, yeah, I remember Big John. But he mentored all of us. They had this barbecue place down in Florida, and I couldn't afford to eat there every night, not at that time. And I'd go to his room late at night, knock on the door. Hey, Big John, man, you hungry? Oh, Bakefield, you want some barbecue? I said, yeah, man, take some barbecue. Are you kidding me? I'll go pick some barbecue up. And I never will forget Big John. He was amazing to all of us. He was a mentor. He was a positive influence on. He was our first team captain. Loved him. He caught up to a fastball one night, and John was a little older. And this young guy tried to sneak some cheese by him, and man, he crushed it. I said, Big John, you got all that. He goes, you got to pick him up early. I picked that young boy up in the lobby. Wow, that's crazy. But then he passed the reins over to the great Willie Upshaw. Give him a hand. Wow. First 100 RBI guy, silver slugger, could pick it at first, should have won several gold gloves. I don't know what happened there. What a great player. And then you look at Damaso Garcia, second base. Wow. All-star, could hit. When I went down to Tony's funeral in Dominican a couple of years ago, Damo's son came to me, little Damo came to me and said, hey, would you and Marla like to go and see Dad? And I said, yeah, we'll go by and see him, absolutely. So we left Tony's funeral and we went over to see Damo. And he was just a shell of himself at that time. But you can still see Damo in there. He had overcome a brain tumor and it came back and got him. But we're sitting there talking and his eyes started fluttering and he said, he recognizes it's you. So I would throw some Damo-isms at him. I said, Damo, what is that exhibition game that we play every year against the Montreal Expos? You call it the Personal Cup. I said, Damo, it's not the Personal Cup, Damo, the Pearson Cup. Please. And then he would always, you want a good laugh out of Damo. He was good at that. You know, he 300 hitter. He had 2 walks. It's unbelievable. This guy could hit. He never walked, but man, he could put the bat on the ball. Had a huge bat. I tried to swing it one day in BP, hurt my thumb. Never again. I said, Damo, what is your batting average? Jesse, I'm batting 3 and some change with the head out. He always say with the head out. Then you go to shortstop. Tony Fernandez, wow. I got to keep that real brief, this one, because that's one of my best friends in life, not just baseball. What a great ambassador for the sport, love kids, and I miss him dearly. A part of me left when he left, but I love him dearly. And you guys remember that photo of Tony receiving his gold glove. You've seen it, I'm sure. And he's sitting up there, and I'm like, Tony, if there was an award for the worst feat in baseball, he would get that too. He's laughing at me saying, I'd love to make him laugh. But what a great player he was. Had all the tools. I know Ozzie Smith deserves a lot of credit, but in the American League, we have the best shortstop by far. Yes. And then Rance and Garth, wow, the two-headed monster. Love those guys at third base. And then Kelly Gruber followed that up. Wow. And then you go behind the plate, you have Buck and Ernie. Very, very, very good behind the plate. Strong leadership qualities. Ernie would get down on that back knee and just yank homers. I love that guy. Wow. And Buck, don't run on him. Buck threw great batting practice, by the way. A lot of people didn't know that. We go on the road and he wasn't playing that day. He would throw BP and he got you right for the game. Straight as an arrow with something on it. And then you got to go to our great manager, Bobby Cox, at that time. Wow. Coxie came in not even talking about getting to 500. He was talking about winning the whole thing, and I'm like, wow. And he made us believe that we can win the whole thing. In fact, 94, Detroit got out to that, 35-5 start, I think it was. I mean, that's unfair, really is. They jumped out the gate, man. Let us get loose first, please. We almost caught them. We battled and almost caught them. But that next year, in 85, that changed my life. It changed me as a player, it changed me as a person, and we were not going to be denied. I remember going into Yankee Stadium in that big series in New York, and it was a 4-game series, and we lost the first game on an error, and those fans were very tough in New York. They tried to intimidate us. We had all these young guys and a few veterans mixed in. They thought they could intimidate us. You can't, I'm from Joliet, you're not gonna scare me. Those guys are from Dominican. We got country boys too, so you're not gonna scare us. No, these guys know how to win, they know how to fight. And we go in there and win the next 3 games, and I think everyone knew then that this team is real. This team is full of players that have heart and gut and desire. And I remember going into that last game, I was in right field with tears in my eyes. Before Big Tom Hinkie gave up that home run. And without Tom Hinkie, we wouldn't have made it that year.
Right.
What a great pitcher he was. Wow. That whole team, Dave Steve, Jim Clancy, we had some pitchers. We had a great bullpen. That was the last piece of the puzzle for us. And the coaches were amazing. John Sullivan, loved him. God rest his soul. He just passed away not too long ago, and I want to send my condolences to him and his family as well. We already did that, but we love John. And John McLaren, Big Mac, he threw great BP as well. One of my first coaches in pro ball, loved Johnny Mac. And you got Billy Smith at first base. Jimmy Williams, of course, was there before back. And Jimmy was, in my opinion, and a lot of our teammates' opinion, the best all-around coach I've ever had in my life. He knew everything about every position, the nuances, the footwork. He helped me with the spin move. And I thank Jimmy to this day because he definitely made all of us a much better, a polished product. Thank you, Jimmy. Al Whitmire, wow. Al was a great pitching coach. All the pitchers raved, they loved him, we did. One of the funniest men I've ever seen in my life. You guys put together a great team, Pat, and I appreciate it. Paul, you guys were amazing, and all the accolades you guys got, you deserve them, because without you guys, I wouldn't be standing up here today. You got your ability from your mom, Rich. Well, believe it or not, I did too. She was, my God, she played competitive softball. And she was pregnant with me at 17 years old and hid it from her mom. And they protected her. Her teammates gave her a little bit bigger shirt. And, it moved to the first base so she didn't have to run. And then she got sick and had to go to the hospital. And my grandmother, the doctors came out and said, your daughter is 7 months pregnant. If you know my grandmother, like we knew her, she was gonna kill her. She was the first of many kids, my mom, our mom. And I'll talk about these guys in just a moment. But My auntie talked her into not killing her. I wouldn't have been here. And, we were during the holiday playing. You know how you play the games with all the gadgets over the shoulder and all that. And I'm looking at my mom. She's like 98 years old, seemingly at the time. She's 81, and she's playing. She's like, wow, look at that. That's pretty good. And I have to thank her. I wish she could be here, but she had a stroke 4 years ago, and her right side is paralyzed. She's a fighter. And then she was just diagnosed a few months ago with leukemia. And, but thank God it's in remission. So, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Wow. I was in Houston at doing a function with Nolan Ryan. And Josh was there. He was a lot younger, and he goes up to Nolan Ryan's wife, and Josh goes, Mrs. Ryan, I'm Josh Barfield. I'm Jesse Barfield's son, and I just want to tell you that your husband struck out my dad a whole lot. I didn't know. I didn't hear this, but it got back to me. And in the car, I said, hey, man, don't ever do that again. What's wrong with you? We're in Exhibition Stadium, and thank God for the fans that we have and had back then. And I struck out. Believe me, when I was bad, I was bad. But when I got hot, it was a little better then. It was a little better. He would holler at me, you struck out, Barfield, and don't do it again, little spit bubbles, and don't do it again. So I had to sit him down and talk to him. And he finally got it. So we were talking, and he was telling Rich he faced you. I said, how'd you do against Rich? He said, Dad, he owned me. Oh my God. So Rich, you struck out my son a whole lot. I said, what did he get you? He get me with the high fastball, and he threw me this thing that went straight down. It was like, this guy was unreal. So yeah, payback. And I'm very proud of you. You were a beast, man. Great job. Wow. But I just want to first off thank my beautiful wife, Marla. Marla, please stand up. Next to her is my beautiful sister-in-law, Samantha, who actually made that outfit for her. What she has on. John, Carol Dixon, great friends. Marty, love you. Cousin Alan, my brother Daryl, Eric, Cheryl Ann, Justin, Danielle, Marshall, Deborah. Love all you guys. Paul, Joshua, Faye, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't want to, thank you. Thank you for your love and support. I don't want to forget my good friend Fergie Jenkins, who, wow, he put my jacket on me, man. And I want to make sure that you guys check out my socks. Fergie Jenkins socks. Wow. It's been a long time coming. I honestly did not think I was going to get in. I didn't. They would consider me. So Kevin, well, thank you for always fighting for me and bringing up stats every year. I appreciate that. But honestly, I was very shocked and surprised that I got the call. They would consider me, and that, nope, didn't get in. I'd already said, okay, it's not going to happen. I had a good career, and that's fine. But thank you. I was up early in the morning, which I'm never up that early. And my phone, I checked my messages. And when I was checking my messages, Scott Crawford called me. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? And Scott told me I was in. And I was shocked. I'm still shocked. And I called Marla. She was at a book club with her friend, one of her girlfriends, and I told her, and of course she had tears. She was all excited. She screamed, but I just want to say thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, and this is something I'll cherish the rest of my life. Thank you. God bless.
Canadian Baseball Hall of Famer Jesse Barfield.